With PostcardMania's Salesforce integration, you can automatically send subscription reminder postcards to accounts whose contracts are going to expire. In this video, I'm going to show you just how. This feature is relatively advanced, so if you're just getting started with our Salesforce app, I recommend going to our YouTube page at PCM Integrations. There you'll find setup instruction videos, videos on how to create your first design, and more. So to get started, as you can see, I'm here on my accounts page in my Salesforce. You'll see on the right-hand side of my records a field called Service Level Agreement Expiration Date. This is the field we're going to base our automation for sending contract renewal postcards off of. The first thing we're going to do with this setup is scroll over to the My Designs button on the top left, click on it. From there, you're going to want to find the design that you're going to be using to send these contract renewals for. So mine is here and it is called SLA Expiring. You're going to want to remember that name for later and go back to Accounts. From Accounts, we can scroll up to the top right and click on the gear icon and click on Setup. From here, I'm going to have you click on the Object Manager in the top left, and then you're going to click on Account. Under Account, what we're actually going to be doing is creating a custom field that checks when an SLA, a service level agreement, is expiring in a month's time. That way, the system will know when to send a postcard to your record. To do this, we're going to click on Fields and Relationships on the left-hand side, and then click New. From here, you're going to want to select the type Formula, because we're going to be calculating the SLA expiration date, and then hit Next. You'll then name the field. So I'm going to call this 4 weeks until SLA expiration. And then I'm going to click the type checkbox below. That is going to be the output. It is going to be either true or not true that the SLA expires in 4 weeks. Then I'm going to click Next in the top right. This is where we're going to actually input the code that calculates whether it's true or not. To do this, you're going to want to click on the Insert Field button on the left, and then under Account, scroll down until you get to SLA Expiration Date. And you'll click Insert, and then we are going to type the equals sign, and then we're going to type in all caps, today, 2 parentheses, plus 28. Then you're going to want to click Check Syntax at the bottom. And that looks good, no errors. So then we'll hit Next in the top right. This is a field level security page. Now, if you know anything about this, feel free to change this around, but for our purposes, I'm going to hit Next. On this page, you're going to want to make sure that all of your layouts for your account object are selected so they have access to this field, and then hit Save in the top right. All right, there's our new field, which concludes this step of the process. So next, we're going to have you go back to your accounts page, and we're going to add this field to our records. To do this, we're going to click on the small gear dropdown on the right, click on Select Fields to Display, click on our new field, and click on the top button to drag it over to the right-hand side. Then we can even adjust it a little bit and click Save. And as you can see, this adds this new field to my accounts page, and I have one record with an SLA expiration date that is in 28 days, and so that's why it is checked. But before we move on from this step, I'm actually going to have another record comply with this 4-week SLA expiration field. So to do that, I'm going to click on it, go to Details, and then I'll adjust the SLA expiration date, and I'll make it just 4 weeks from the date in my system. There you go. I'll hit Save. As you can see from here, this field is checked. I can show you also from the accounts page that there it is, checked as well. So now that we've confirmed that this field is working as intended, it's time to set up our flow automation. To do that, I'm going to go back to the setup page. In the quick find, I'm going to type in flows. I'm going to click on the top right on New Flow. This is going to be a scheduled triggered flow that I'm going to run every day to check to see if there are any contracts that expire in 4 weeks. So I'm going to have it start with running tomorrow. I'll set the time. 9 a.m. is fine. I'll have it run every day, so daily. And then I'm going to click on this Choose Object button here, and I'm going to type in Account. Once I've selected Account, I'm going to change the condition requirements to None, run for all accounts, because we want this flow to run for every account to check to see if the contract is expiring. Next, I'm going to click on this little plus icon here below the flow, and then I'm going to scroll down and click Get Records. So in this element, we're going to get all the records that meet the standard of our field, which is, of course, that the SLA is expiring in 4 weeks. So I'm going to call it Get SLA Expiring Records. And then I have to add the object. So under this object, we're going to type, again, Account. Click on that. Next, we're going to set a condition that only pulls the records where our new field is checked. To do that, we click on Search Fields, scroll all the way down to 4 weeks until SLA expiration, leave the operator as equals. Then for the value, we click Global Constant True. And lastly, we scroll all the way to the bottom and we make sure it stores all records. All right, and so then next we scroll back over and click the plus sign again to add an element. We add an action. We search for Send Postcard. Click on that. We'll name it, so we'll call it Send Expiring SLA Postcards. Then we have to once again designate the object for this action. We're going to write Account, and then we'll click on it. Now we are going to toggle a few of these. So the first is the design layout, which if you remember your design name, ours was SLA Expiring. Good, so once I type that, I will enter the value for the record, which will just be that record from the collection variable we created, Get SLA Expiring Records. Once I have those two in place, I click Done, and that is the completed flow. So I'm going to hit Save. I'll name it. I'm going to call it SLA Expiring Postcards Flow. And then I'll click Save. Then the next step after it saves is actually going to be to debug it to make sure there are no errors. So I'll click Debug. I'll run it in rollback mode so that it doesn't actually send postcards. I'll click Run. Then on the right-hand side, we'll unpack this. So it found the records and it's sent to those records. Success true. So that's how I know that this flow is working, which means I'm going to activate it. Now that it's active, I'm going to test it in a live production environment. And to do that, I'm just going to change the time and date that it's going to run to today. So I'll just change the time to right about now, maybe a few minutes from now. Perfect. I'll click Save. I'm just saving this version. Activate it as well. And once that's active, we can go back to our flows and confirm that it's active by scrolling down to the bottom. So at the bottom, you can see Send Expiring Postcards Flow is active. So that's how I know that it's working. I'm going to go to my accounts. And then from there, I'm going to check the orders. And as you can see, I have 2 orders pending from the flow, which means that this flow worked. All right, well, that's all I have for this video. If you need more information about our Salesforce integration or want to see more videos on setup or any kind of use case, you can visit pcmintegrations.com/Salesforce. For now, that's all I got. More soon.